You are now listening to the Be Your Own #LoveGoals podcast with Mo Ari
and Tiffany.
We just want you to remember that every person, regardless of identity, wants these three things: belonging, authenticity, and love.
And after a decade of partnership, we've learned to co-create these things and so much more.
So from wherever you're listening, we're going to go on a journey of becoming our own #LoveGoals. Now let's get into this episode. Hey, it's Mo Ari
and Tiffany,
and you are listening to the #LoveGoals podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
So I've been thinking a lot about our episode, Expectations Aren't Intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It has been one of our top ranking episodes to date.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of you all basically just love that conversation, and we loved it too.
Yeah.
I think it is a conversation we have a lot. This idea that expectations don't create standards. They don't really communicate what it is that you really want in a relationship. And how we can do the work of intentional relationship really is important.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about something on our way over here today, actually. And it was something that came up for me as I was meditating and doing a reading yesterday. And it's this idea that the space between our expectations, our ideals, our dreams. I'll say dreams for me because I dream a lot. Yeah. The space between our dreams and the reality of a relationship or a situation, that space often leads to disappointment. And for me...
Can you say that louder for the people in the back?
The space between our dreams and the reality that is right now is often filled with disappointment. And I got to thinking about that because I don't feel that it always has to be that way. I think the disappointment comes from having this vision about what love can look like, what relationship can look like, what dating should look like, and wanting to create that, but feeling like the reality is so far from the dream. But I don't see that space as disappointing. That really takes, but it's taken a lot of work to get to this place now where I don't see it as such, because I used to get really frustrated when things weren't going how I planned them to go. Now I see that space in between the dream and the reality as potential, as possibility.
Come on.
Thanks for egging me on.
Yeah.
It really occurred to me that when we're in this space of co-creating a relationship and being really intentional about what our relationship can look like, that seeing this space between dream and reality as potential changes how we show up and how we operate. If I meet somebody, and I'm so glad I'm not dating right now, but let's say that we were. Let's say we met each other. And we were not who we are today. So let's just go back to the beginning.
Ooh, okay.
Let's say, you met me and I was unrefined as I was. And I hadn't figured out all the things that I know now about me, about what I want out of life. And maybe you hadn't either, but you had some expectations of how I might show up, or some standards, some desires, some dreams, right? You could have been disappointed. But instead, what we did together was talk about stuff.
We did.
Say, hey, this is actually what my dream is. How can we co-create that? How can we communicate better? How can we transcend the challenges? We looked at it as possibility. That moved us into the space of creation together. So today's episode, I really want to talk about co-creation for this reason. Because when we step into the possibility of what could be, we take that dream just from fantasy, one, and we give it the proper tools that it needs in order to become a manifestation of our desire. So if we're going to co-create relationships from an intentional place, let's talk about how you move from dream to reality without the disappointment in the middle.
Ooh, this is rich. And what is sitting with me right now is literally transitioning from should to could.
Yeah.
So literally, if point A is my relationship should look like this.
Yeah.
How we build our home should look like this. How we start our family should look like this. Any of the scenarios here too.
Yeah.
What could it look like?
Yeah.
And I am guilty of being in the space of should.
Yeah.
It should be like this. It's supposed to be like this. I was promised this thing. I'm entitled to this thing. This is how my relationship should look.
Yeah.
And it is a very person specific perspective, especially when you're talking about co-creating relationship.
Yeah.
You know, and the moment I feel like even in our relationship where I was like, okay, this is what I thought. What I thought has been totally turned over on its head, might I add, for what I thought relationship would look like. When I would get married, like when I would have these things. And so the moment that I was like, okay, what could this look like? The possibilities are endless. Why am I boxing myself into this small version, this small blueprint, this small pattern of what things could look like? Or should, that's what I was thinking then, and transition into what could it look like. It encouraged me to be more curious, to have conversations. I was not a talker. Like, I was not a person who was like, well, what do we want this thing to look like? Like, how do you think we should communicate? And, family of origin, society, like all of these things made me believe that that's not what you do in it should just be easy, or it should this, or it should that. So really that transition from should to could has helped me. And I think it has continued to allow me to say or sit in the creativity or how much power, let's say for instance, how much power together we have to sit there and be like, we want a relationship where we connect, where there's connection, and taking ownership in the fact that we are the people who created. Not like we should be connected. Like we did all these things. We should be connected. We married. We should be connected. It's, we're on a date. We should be connected. But switching it to how can we stay connected? Like, how can we create this
I feel
connection?
like this is so important as we're in the conversation. I have some questions for you too.
Okay.
But like, this is so important because, I'm not going to put you on Front Street.
Oh, Lord.
But it does feel like this has been a good chunk of not just my work, but your work. Because I think that as you're saying that, I can think of so many moments where you just sat in the disappointment and maybe rolled around in it.
Absolutely.
You're like, I don't feel connected. No ownership. So you were just like in the disappointment and just rolling around in it. Whereas I'm like, what do we do? I don't know. And I remember having a moment in therapy or couples therapy of some kind, and the therapist had probably challenged you and was like, well, can you figure out what it is that you do want? Because just saying I don't know doesn't help. And it was so simple, but I think just articulating that challenged you to expand beyond the discomfort of the disappointment and be like, okay, shifting into what you're saying, which is what could be. I love that. The shift from disappointment to co-creation is a shift from what should be to what could be. Now, I think that there's a space in between there, because on the way to what could be, we have to stop and assess what is. And I think that's where people struggle, because the reality is we're not in the world that we want to create yet, because we have to create it. So we're not in the relationship that we want to create yet, because we have to create it. Now, my question for you, and I know you identify as a non-binary, but still as a woman, I think you're like somewhere in the in-between. But I still want to relate to you or ask you these questions, because I do think I hear so much from, especially like Black women, but women in general, dating, and particularly hetero women while dating, having the challenge of maybe not knowing where to draw the line. So if we are saying that there's this co-creation that can happen, to not just sit in disappointment. How do you set a standard and stick to that, but not be so rigid that you're preventing quality relationship that could be co-created, but then also so that you're not settling? Because I'm never going to say you should settle.
Right.
You should just co-create from there and make somebody your project. No. How do we know? How do you know as a woman that someone has the potential to co-create with you?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
And I think that space you're talking about, that what is space, is the most challenge. Is one of the most challenging.
What is space?
What it is right now.
Yeah.
Can be one of the most challenging spaces. And I feel like for me, I think it takes a lot of self-awareness about who you are.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you can be fully in relationship without understanding who you are,
right,
and then determining what you want. And when I say what you want, not just like the things that might make you happy here or there, but the things that are like moral standards, like non-negotiable things, right? Like if, there's a particular thing you feel like is absolutely 100% necessary for you to have a relationship that is aligned with you, that you feel authentic in.
Yeah.
Do not sacrifice that.
Okay.
Do not sacrifice that. And I feel like,
but how do you set that standard for that now? Because
that's hard.
How do you set that standard in a realistic way? Like if you're giving advice, let's say you're giving advice to someone who is like typically rigid.
Okay.
Because not flexing on something that is just so authentic and aligned, and you really have to make sure that is true, because sometimes we uphold things out of stubbornness and we won't be flexible, but time moves on and change is going to come. And so flexibility really is required. So how do you allow your standards to evolve with you is essentially my question. So that you know that they're adapting and that they're not a part of fantasy land, right? Fantasy land is not dreamland. Fantasy land is like where you escape to. Dreams propel you forward into creating that reality. So if it's an escape kind of thing or something that you do to self-sabotage, how do you get clear about that? Because I think sometimes we create these what we call standards that aren't really standards. They're impossible standards. They're impossibilities where we're trying to live in the possibility. Impossibilities are the things that we create to self-sabotage. I'm going to give you an example right quick. As a therapist, I've worked with a lot of people, a lot of couples over the years. And this example is coming to mind. Someone was from a specific ethnic background.
Okay.
With a specific last name and culture. Okay. That is about, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away. It might take 14 to 15 hours to get there. Okay. So they were looking for, they were LGBTQ plus, and they were looking to date someone within this specific culture with a specific last name in America. Okay. As an LGBTQ plus person, which is not very accepted within their culture. So then the box kept getting more and more constricted and limited. And we were really working through why that particular thing was so important. And come to find out, it was so important because they were still dealing with acceptance of their identity and wanting that relationship to be the acceptance from their to gain acceptance from their culture. Okay. And so once we moved through that limit and we blasted through it, we open up the possibility of dating all kinds of people. So if you would have asked them before this conversation, they would have said absolutely. They used to get upset when we push on this subject. If you ask them before that, absolutely not. That is a possibility that must happen. And it wasn't that it was an impossibility. Anything is possible. I believe that we are what is possible, right? It was just that we were creating something that made it so challenging for us to have what we ultimately wanted, which was a relationship that was healthy and loving and didn't disrespect them as an LGBTQ plus person. So if that was at the core of what they wanted, then we could get that. But we had to get to that core. They were telling me all that time that the core was, I need somebody that fits this description. So I said all of that and set it up. What is your advice, or what are your thoughts? Like, how do we move beyond rigidity, and what's your advice for women contemplating not lowering their standards? Of course, never do that. Don't settle. But then how do you know the difference between settling and then being rigid?
Well, I think with your example, I think that when we go into relationship or dating with, a number of expectations, as a thought experiment, I think it's really important to ask why. Right? Like, let's say, for example, and I'm not trying to shade anybody if this is, an expectation of yours, but let's just say, if we say you really want someone that's tall, right? I would really then challenge you to say why. Why is it that I want someone tall? Like, is there a reason? And as you begin to, dig deeper into that, maybe you need to ask why again after you come to that approach. But if it is something, I personally feel, this is Tiffany, if it is something that does not impact, let's say, your safety or security, or
now, see, for a lot of tall women, I think that they would say that it does. So then,
yeah. And so then only you would be able to determine that. But I think, for some people, having someone that is tall.
But like for you, it's not a requirement.
Yeah, it's not, because
and yet I'm your type.
Yeah, it's not a requirement though. But I love it. Okay. No, but I think you really have to ask why. Because, like, with your client, they were saying, I want to be in relationship with this person from this culture. We're already LGBTQIA plus. I need this. And then you were able to get deeper as to why I really need this acceptance, because you may find out that the thing that you're seeking or wanting because of an expectation you have, you can literally go get somewhere else. Or, it's not necessarily this attribute or this expectation that's going to get you that thing.
Sometimes we generalize the form or the package that it comes in order to maybe shortcut to the thing we really want. So for this client, they were trying to shortcut to, I know I'm gonna have acceptance if I pick this kind of person. I don't want to do another thing that's outside of the box. I'm already LGBTQ plus. So I'm trying to shortcut acceptance to my family.
And then there's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee that you're gonna have that.
Exactly.
And even so, in the example of like, let's say I only want someone, I've heard this, I only want somebody with a 6-pack, right? Doesn't matter if I have a 6-pack or not. But like, I've heard this, like, do I want somebody with a 6-pack? You have to ask yourself why. We can go down the list. I want somebody that takes care of themselves. I want somebody that's going to live a long life. I want somebody that's healthy. There are so many other factors that indicate that. Are you getting lab work on them to know their cholesterol level, their blood pressure, and all of that? Because you can have a 6-pack and take in way too much protein for your body and have a problem. You can have, if it's not lean. We got so many other things that we have to come into play. You could take insulin every day and have a 6-pack. So if your thing is longevity and health, how can we be looking at this in a different way and then still keep asking yourself why till you get down to the core? Because I don't want to be left alone because my grandfather passed away early, or because, my dad was never in my life. We are at something.
Exactly. And it speaks even more to that could. Because if you're like, I want somebody that takes care of themselves, they should have a 6-pack.
Yeah.
What about if they don't and they, have another type of body or it comes in a different package? Because we're so caught up in it should look like this, it should be like this, you don't leave room for the possibility of it looking
right
so many different ways.
Yeah, it's our eyes and our five senses deceive us in
Yes.
relationships.
Yes.
I think that they're the biggest parts of our expectations about what is. We close our eyes and we just sense what we need
Yes.
in a relationship. What we need is so much less tangible. So it's less tangible than what somebody looks like.
Exactly.
And I'm go with me if you tuning out or you getting upset with me right now because I'm challenging a standard that you have. I really want you to go with this, right? When you close your eyes at the end of the day and you have to have a long-term relationship with someone, you want somebody that's not going to walk out on you when you get sick. You want somebody that's going to be able to consistently pay their bills. You want somebody who is going to be there with you through thick and thin. You don't want somebody that's going to be able to listen to you when you're crying about your problems and that, is compassionate and loving. That's at the core of what you really want. That doesn't mean settle on these other desires, but don't get it so far in your head that they're a need. We don't need many things. We want them. When we get clear about needs and wants, we are able to detach from the form that it comes in. When we get our needs met, we show up differently.
Right.
And there's a spiritual, it's almost like I want to say that there is a spiritual and energetic work that has to happen in the world, how we look at relationships. I'm not taking you out of church. I'm just saying, like, it's a spiritual or energetic shift around relationships when we can go to a person and see beyond what they look like. People always come to me, I get a feeling about people. They're like, well, just based off of a picture, what do you think about them? I'm like, I don't know. And then they go out with them and they're like, yeah, that's not the best.
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling because I see beyond what someone looks like. And I'm challenging so many of us to do that because we are too unique, too individual, too different for you to be able to look at a person and say, well, that kind of person in that kind of group that represents my type is going to love me how I need to be loved. We have too many different lived experiences, too many different walks of life, too many different traumas. So when you start picking people based on this stuff that is random, like gender, like appearance, skin complexion, when you pick people based off of random things, you get random shit in your relationship. Pardon my language if it's anybody that doesn't like it. I never curse on here, but you get random stuff in relationship with people when you pick based off of random things. I'm here to say, like, as a therapist, how somebody looks is random. I'm not saying don't care about it. Make it a want. Don't make it a need. Because when you make it a need, you start to attract people that are being random with you. When you get intentional and spiritual and energetic about the relationships you're calling in, it shows up in front of you 10,000 fold. But you're going to keep getting random people that just like you based off of how you look and aren't being intentional because slightly you're not being intentional.
Right.
You're slightly not being intentional because you're picking based off of what you see, not what you feel and sense. Start moving through the world with your eyes closed. Start going out on dates with people that maybe you wouldn't necessarily always go out with, but there was something energetically you liked about them.
Right.
Whether it was how they were compassionate or loving. And I'm not saying settle with them. I'm just saying start to call in that energy differently because you're expanding and you're opening to saying, hey, I'm not to be with randoms. And I'm saying that that's a random kind of person you're picking by picking based off of how they look. There's so much variety and experience and all the layers beyond that. You're getting randoms. And that's why it feels random. That's why it doesn't feel like your soulmate. They're randoms because you're picking randomly. Phenotype is a random way of matching. Okay. At the core of what actually makes substantial connection is stuff beyond what we can see, like compassion, empathy, sincerity, commitment, diligence, responsibility. ethic.
Absolutely.
We cannot tell a book by its cover. Nope. The old saying is so true. Mm-hmm. And if we keep trying to do that, you're going to keep getting randoms. Yes. I'm going to be quiet. Off of my soapbox now.
I totally agree with you. I think, like you were saying, you'll end up with randoms. It's almost as if there is an intention there. It's not like fully intentionless, but the intention is randomness.
Speak on it.
Like you're literally choosing based on these things, or you're being choosy, or you're being whatever in that intention. So that's what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
And it's not just like you could go, you can have these expectations, or you want a person of this appearance or this complexion. You could potentially end up with that person and they be right for you. And I think it's really, 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 really important to also be open in that process, to be open to dating when I say all types of people, I'm also, again, not saying settle, but being open to how the package may look on the outside.
And allow attraction to expand as you expand.
Exactly.
What you have typically been attracted to is going to expand when you start to say to the universe, my priority are these things. I want this stuff, but they're not needs. Bring me this first.
Yep.
I'm not going to say I promise you, but I just know for a fact that when you start to prioritize and you say to the universe, this love, compassion, empathy, sincerity, listening to me, all of that is the most important thing to me. Respecting me, that's the most important thing. Bring it in any form. You're going to get somebody sexy.
Come on.
Because one, that energy is sexy. Two, sexy is so much more spiritual than it is physical.
Yes.
You ever been attracted to somebody your friends was like, ooh, girl? Or maybe they didn't tell you. You ever been looking at your friends, man, like, ooh, girl, she is attracted to that energy.
That part.
And I'm saying this to guys too. Guys can be,
yeah,
all people.
Right.
But I'm talking to like the cisgender guys. Think the attraction piece based on the physical can be so conditioned and programmed where we're blind. We're not seeing beyond. You really have to connect based off of more. So this goes to everybody. You're picking randoms and you're getting random stuff at your front door because you have to prioritize. Is this person gonna you're gonna have to prioritize what you're wanting to co-create. So if you're wanting to co-create a marriage and a life for your children that you already have, but maybe you're not with their other parent, and you want to co-create something stable for them, don't pick somebody that's not a good mother.
Right.
Don't pick somebody that's already not a good father to their kids. They're never going to show up for you right. You want to prioritize those things, the things you're trying to co-create, the world that could be, over the package it comes in. Allow the co-creation process to do the work of bringing you every single thing that you need. I think we get real picky like that about the external because we think we're not going to get everything that we need. But that right there is what prevents you from getting the stuff that's deeper underneath the surface, because you prioritize the package.
Come on.
That's like asking for a gift, but prioritizing the package. So all you get is a box with a bow on it.
Yep.
That's cute. I don't want that. I want the stuff inside. I don't care if you bring it to me in a cardboard box. I want that gift. What we've been conditioned to getting and we've been told to marry is the box with the bow on it. Yep. I want the box with the bow on it, but I want the stuff inside. And I'm going to prioritize the stuff inside to the universe so that they bring me, I co-create with the universe, a box with a bow on it with the stuff inside. That's what I got.
Come on.
That's what I'm assuming you got.
I did. And also, even if you get a bag or some other kind of external packaging that has good sustenance and contents, to also be open to the possibility of as you evolve, that evolving as well.
Yeah,
it might not start out as a box with a pretty bow and ribbon and all of that. The contents, the inside, like the genuine meat. I think
we could change the packaging
all day. We can go to the store and change it every single day of the week.
Yes, we can upgrade that.
But what's inside?
Oh my gosh. That stuff takes lifetimes to work out. How many of us are still working through stuff that our ancestors brought here? Baby. Nobody has time to be working on the inside contents of that package. The outside, oh my God, there's so much you can do.
Oh my God.
The inside?
Give me a grocery bag full of amazing contents, then a empty, beautifully wrapped pink and green box.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I don't want to deter the people that are like, I want all of it. Yeah. I want you to want all of it.
Exactly.
With my whole heart. I just want you to understand that that's a want.
Yeah.
Because what you need, you have to say is your needs to the universe as you co-create. And as you go into relationship, we didn't even get to the other side of this.
Oh my God.
You know, and we run it out of time, so we have to make this another episode. Be a part 2, yeah. Because we spent a lot of time talking about, you know, what package it could come in and what and whatnot. But I think that there's so much to be said about who we are and whether or not we are showing up as a pretty box with a bow on it and without the content.
Tell the truth.
Because that's a part of the co-creation. Don't even focus on the other person's side. What are you bringing? Okay. Every time somebody gets to you, they surprised there's nothing in there. We don't want.
Yeah. No.
That's the word. So we are at the end of our episode though. So we're going to have to come back to this. I love you all so much.
Yes.
Was there a final thought from you, Tiff?
You know, I think that when we're co-creating, we have to literally co-create. But I think the step before that is ownership and it's self-awareness.
Yeah.
It is understanding who you are, what you desire.
Yeah.
And honoring, you know, these things that you spoke of. If it's security, if it's love, if it's connection, honoring those things and being aware of and take ownership of if you have wanted those things to be in a particular package.
Yeah.
So sitting with that, understanding who you are and being aware of any limitations you may have in that co-creating process. And it's a work in progress.
Right.
But that's what I would say to the people listening.
Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much for that word, Tiff.
Yes.
Always at the end of the day, we want you all to be your own #love goals. This has been the Be Your Own #love goals podcast with Mo Ari
and Tiffany.
Have a great day and be well.
Bye. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Video episodes are on YouTube and Spotify.
If you want your question included in an upcoming episode, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Be Your Own Love Goals or check out our website at lovegoalspodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Bye.